Have you ever noticed that at some point, doing all the right things stops working the same way? Not dramatically, just quietly. If you're capable, disciplined, and still feel like your body has shifted underneath you, there's a reason, and it isn't failure. Hi, I'm Dr. Cynthia Clark. I'm an acupuncturist and nutritionist. And if you and I'm an industrial engineer turned acupuncturist. And thanks for being patient with me. This is my first time using this technology in this particular way. I appreciate your tuning in and your patience. My work focuses on helping people navigate complex biological systems. I am an industrial engineer turned acupuncturist, and I love working with the complex problems under sustained stress. Before I ever worked clinically, I was trained in systems engineering, how complex systems behave and how they fail, how they adapt, and how signals accumulate over time. Later, I trained in traditional Chinese medicine and functional nutrition, where I saw the same principles playing out just inside the human body instead of in a factory. Over the years, I've specialized in the cases where standard protocols didn't work. People who are capable, disciplined, and resilient, and chronically overextended. I'm also a multi-time Ironman finisher and endurance athlete, and I'm currently training for my next big race, which is an ultra endurance open water swim and cycling event. Those lived experiences have shaped how I understand long duration stress, adaptation, and recovery, not just in athletics, but in real life, caregiving, and trauma informed care. I work with high capacity individuals and clinicians whose nervous systems and physiology have reorganized around survival rather than longevity. I'm the creator of Decode Your Dolphin, a systems navigation framework designed to help people understand biological load, adaptive patterns, and relying on recovery windows without relying on motivation, force, or unrealistic timelines. Today, I want to talk with you about methylation, aging, and why so many capable people feel like their bodies have quietly changed, even though they're still doing everything right. It's going to take about 10 minutes for us to have this conversation today. So I want to say this gently at the start. If you're tired, if weight, sleep, mood, or energy don't respond the way they used to, if discipline stopped working the way that it once did, this is not a personal failure. It's not a lack of willpower. It's a systems issue. And understanding it can be deeply relieving. What methylation is. So let's talk about the science of this. Methylation is one of the body's quiet regulatory processes. It doesn't change your DNA, it changes how your DNA is read. Tiny chemical groups called methyl groups are placed on specific parts of your genetic material. Those marks help determine which genes are expressed, which are sought, and which are held back entirely. You can think of methylation as editorial guidance, not rewriting the book, but deciding what gets emphasized, what stays in the background, and what's temporarily set aside. This process influences inflammation, detoxification, metabolism, neurotransmitters, hormone signaling, and aging itself. If that sounds familiar, you're in the right place. When methylation is well regulated, the body adapts smoothly. When it becomes strained, regulation becomes noisy. These are some of the things that change with age. As we move through life, The systems that maintain methylation don't suddenly fail, but they do lose precision. Every time a cell divides, it has to copy not only DNA, but its methylation pattern. Specialized enzymes do this work with remarkable accuracy, but accuracy over decades is different than accuracy over just years. And it adds up. Small errors accumulate. Inflammation nudges the system off course. Stress diverts resources away from repair, and that's youth. Over time, we see a pattern researchers call epigenetic drift. Large regions of the genome lose methylation, while smaller stress-sensitive regions may become excessively methylated. Regulation becomes less flexible and less forgiving. This is why epigenetic clocks often reflect biological age more accurately than the calendar. It's not dramatic, it's gradual, and it's deeply human. It happens one day at a time, year after year after year. So let's look at this through the lens of functional medicine. From this perspective, methylation sits at the crossroads of multiple systems. When it weakens, we often see rising homocysteine, an inflammation marker, creeping insulin resistance, persistent inflammation, brain fog or mood changes, and weight gain that doesn't respond to effort. Doesn't matter what you do. This is why people can eat well, exercise consistently, and still feel as though their bodies are quietly resisting them. Functional medicine doesn't treat this as a single defect. It sees it as a systems signal that inputs like sleep, nutrients, stress load, and inflammation are no longer matching the body's capacity to adapt to them. And when we look at this through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine, we're going to learn about something called Jing, or essence. Traditional Chinese medicine describes this process using different language, but the insight is both similar and profoundly powerful. In TCM, aging and resilience are governed by Jing, or essence. It's stored in the kidneys. We inherit a certain endowment at birth, and we either conserve or deplete it through how we live. We have prenatal Jing essence and we have postnatal. Normal aging is a slow, gradual decline, but accelerated aging happens when demand consistently exceeds recovery. This is not your normal aging. This is we're off script. From this perspective, what modern science calls epigenetic drift looks very much like essence depletion, a gradual loss of regulatory integrity, repair capacity, and resilience. This isn't pathology. It's the body adapting to sustained load over time. And when that happens, you just get kind of stuck a little bit every day over years. People often describe this phase of life quietly. I never felt the same after that illness, or my sleep is lighter, or I recover more slowly. I'm doing all of the right things, but my body just feels different. These experiences aren't imaginary. They're reflections of systems that have reorganized around endurance, not restoration. And here's the important part. Pushing harder usually makes it worse. I'm sorry to be the one to have to tell you that, because I like pushing harder too. But what actually helps is going to make all the difference in the world for you. The goal is not to force methylation. It's not to optimize harder. It's not to override the system. The goal is to create stability. That means some simple things like consistent nourishment, adequate protein and micronutrients, and reducing inflammatory load, protecting your sleep and regulating stress, moving the body in ways that build capacity without exhausting reserves. From a Chinese medicine perspective, it means learning when to conserve and replenish essence rather than constantly drawing from it. When the system feels safe again, regulation improves. And when regulation improves, symptoms soften. Change happens, but without force. And I have to tell you that I am the prime challenger of this because I do it constantly with my endurance training. It's the biggest challenge, right? So it's I walk this talk. If healthy habits stopped working for you, just know that your body is not broken. It's communicating. It's just letting you know. And when we learn to listen at the systems level rather than pushing at the surface, health becomes something we restore instead of something we chase. If this way of understanding your body resonates, this is the lens I teach through Decode Your Dolphin, a regulated, systems based approach to health that prioritizes clarity, sustainability, and long term resilience. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next conversation.